Alright, welcome to the second video now on this channel. Today I have a locals gameplay video. This is the first time I've done something like this, so I felt a little crazy having the camera on the table recording all the games, but it was a lot of fun. I'm playing my straight Dragapult deck, no Dusknoirs. I'll put the list here on the screen. I plan on making a more in-depth breakdown of the deck and the list and different considerations for the list, but here it is. It's a Lillie Town Store deck, a lot of super useful tools, and the deck just gains a lot of space when you don't play the Dusknoir lines, a lot of rooms for techs, and I think this version of Dragapult has a better time into Goldango. Got some classic Dragapult stuff. Crystal is the A-spec, so I also included the Hoopa in the deck to improve the Kangaskhan matchup. There was a bit of Kangaskhan decks running around my locals, so that felt like a good inclusion. And yeah, I have some other thoughts and considerations for this list I want to go more in depth into, so I'll definitely post more of a breakdown on the list here soon. So here we go into game number 1 against our friend Nathan. Right away, he starts with a Dreepy. I'm assuming I'm just playing against Pokémon, but he puts down a Charmander frame 1, and he points at the prize cards, so I'm assuming he prized his second Charmander here. I'm assuming this is Poltzard as well, so I'm expecting a 2-1-2 line of Charizard, and then probably a 4-4-2 line of Dragapult, with the Luminous Energy, Munkidori, and things like that, and probably Stamp as the A-spec is what I'm thinking here as well. And here I go into the first deck search with a Nest Ball, just separating out Pokemon energy. Price checking is still a skill I need to continue to improve on, getting through and narrowing down like what the 6 prize cards are by the end of the game. Definitely something I need to get better at, but here's the Nest Ball for a Dreepy. So obviously goal is to get into Budew this turn, and then we're going to play Lillie right off the bat. That always feels good on your turn, on your first turn going second. So let's see what we get here off of the Lillie. I do think we get into the Budew. I don't remember exactly what we drew into, but let's see it. Alright, so looks like a decent hand. I'm playing an Ultra Ball here, and I'm going to discard one of those Ionos, and then I end up deciding to discard the Genesect here, which I do think was a mistake. We're going into the Budew, so obviously we're locking him out of Unfair Stamp, but I do think we should have held on to this Genesect. We also have a Bravery Charm in hand, so I end up charming the Budew, which is like okay, I guess. I don't know exactly what reason I was doing that, just protect it from something like a Charmander attack, or just like giving up a free prize with Munkidori later in the game. I would have had to discard the Fez or just the Stretcher off that Ultra Ball as well, because the Iono was my only follow-up after this. So yeah, I think getting rid of a Stretcher like feels bad, but I think I'm just like conditioned to like never discard Stretcher off of Ultra Ball. But in this situation, I think it's worth it to establish a Genesect and protect us from the Stamp later in the game, which, spoiler alert, is going to be pretty devastating for us. So he plays a Lillie on his turn, evolves into Drakloak and Charmeleon. He also revealed to me there that he had a Charizard in his hand accidentally, so not like I had a choice to play that Iono. I was going to play it either way, but easy decision to Iono that Charizard to the bottom of the deck for me. He also does find the Charmeleon, the one of Charmeleon off of item lock, which is a little unfortunate to see. Obviously can't just complain about getting unlucky there, but he had decent odds to find it off of a Lillie, but his board is looking pretty decent, and then we play the Iono on our turn, find a Drakloak. We're going to recon here. The hand looks pretty decent. We're find another Poffin for the Dreepy that I also put to the bottom of the deck. Believe we prized one Dreepy here, so that's going to be the whole board. Again, we're just hoping he doesn't get into that that Charizard. We Ionoed it to the bottom, so that feels good. And oh, I guess we did not prize another Dreepy. It was just in hand, but or no, it wasn't in hand. I was just debating on whether or not to bench a 4th Dreepy. I eventually decide that I want to, and we're just going to go into Itchy Pawn again. And he draws for turn. I think he's gonna evolve into that other Drakloak, and yeah, the Budew is not really putting in too much work here. He's able to find all of his evolutions, and at this point, I am a bit scared. He's gonna basically see 12 cards off of this Lillie and 2 recons, so tough position, but let's see what he finds off the Lillie. I definitely felt a little underprepared for this matchup. There he finds the Charizard off of the Recon Directive, so that's great for him. Not so great for us. He's able to just find everything he needs despite our item lock, which is whatever. But yeah, like I said, this is a tough matchup. The more I think about it, he also plays the 4 Luminous and the Munkidori. I don't know if he plays multiple Munkidori, but that Munkidori is going to mess us up a little bit if it gets involved. Here he gets the Infernal Rain onto the active. I think he still has an attachment left, which he should put onto that second Drakloak. And this is a very threatening board that he has established with the Charizard and the double Drakloak at this point. So he's going to knock out my Budew, and I mean, immediately I'm just thinking about punching into this Charizard, hoping to KO it on the next turn, and then Hawlucha KOing the bench Drakloak with 2 damage counters already on it. We're going to Night Stretcher for that fire energy back, because we only played 3 basic energies, so I think just using the Stretcher now, guarantee we find the energy is correct. We also have the Crystal, but I still think that's the right play. And then we're going to preemptively bench the Hawlucha, put that Drakloak in range. Again, looking back on it, we're susceptible to Stamp here, which he is going to end up having. So I don't know if there was any merit to avoiding taking a knockout on this turn and just loading some damage on both of those Drakloaks. That could have been an option, but I mean, taking out the draw when you have a chance is always an attractive option. Not sure exactly what was correct there, but we recon here. Only finding 1 more Drakloak is not the best. I'd like to get 2 more evolved. I can't remember if we prized one of them, but we're going to, just punch this Charizard for 200, put some pressure on it, and then take out that benched Drakloak. He already has that Stamp in hand, so he's eyeing that down for sure. He's going to Poffin, establish his board a little more. I believe he gets 2 Dreepies here. Yeah, there's another one in the deck if he wants it. And I think he just, he finds a pretty good turn here. He has the Stamp in hand, lots of options there. He also has the Monkey established, which, at this point, I'm very scared of this board, and just the threat of Charizard and Dragapult coming in are both just super scary. Again, I would have liked to slow him down a little bit more with Budew. Obviously, you can't just count on that to win all your games, but he was definitely able to find everything he needed on the turn that he needed it. And I'm definitely inexperienced in this matchup. So any mistakes I made, feel free to call them out. He's going to recon here and evolve to that Dragapult on the bench. And I'm pretty scared. He's going to play that Arven before the Unfair Stamp comes down, grab a Balloon and an Ultra Ball here. Likely going to Ultra Ball for Hawlucha, I believe, to... yeah, he has the option to retreat his damaged Charizard into the Dragapult, take out one of my Dreepies on the bench, and put a damage counter on my Hawlucha, and that damage counter is going to stick around all game long, which is a smart move there, just giving him the opportunity to take a prize on it at any point in the game. He's going to put the Air Balloon on the Charizard for that pivot and then play the Stamp. So I think this game came down to... I think we're in a bad position anyway, but I think if we had the Genesect down, we would not be so decimated by the Stamp, which feels really bad with only one Drakloak on the board, especially if we were able to get one or two more last turn. Could have put us in a different spot, but we're not going to have many options to us. My hand is just a Tool Scrapper and an Ultra Ball, so yeah, not looking very good. He even gets the Monkey Luminous Energy on top of it, off of that Stamp, which, yeah, is pretty much gonna put us in a pretty awful position. He's gonna be able to put damage on our only Dragapult in play, put some major pressure on it. Munkidori 3 to the Drakloak on the bench, and then take a pretty devastating turn. My hand is just Ultra Ball, Tool Scrapper, and Defiance Band, so yeah, I just have to Ultra Ball for a Drakloak and pray pretty much. I make another misplay here. So I evolved the Dreepy with the damage counter on it, which doesn't make sense. I mean, it makes sense in the fact that I was just thinking the one Dreepy, the damage counter is just going to be an easy Phantom Dive target, so evolving it, makes some sense, but with what we're going to have to do next turn, we're going to have to put damage in play on his side with Phantom Dive, so he's going to be able to knock out that Drakloak anyways with Munkidori no matter what I do. So that was a pretty bad misplay as well. So I should have just evolved the fresh Dreepy, but even if we did that, I prized my Sparkling Crystal, so I wouldn't even be able to get a Dragapult up in a turn. So yeah, from this position, we're pretty much hosed no matter what we do. Yeah, I'm going to speed up the rest of this game because it's pretty much over. We have to give him at least 20 damage to work with Munkidori, so he's going to be able to take out my Pull and my Cloak. My only possible comeback would be some kind of crazy Ursaluna countercatcher Munkidori Iono play, but that's not going to happen with having no draw on our board. So it's pretty much over. That was round 1, starting off this locals tournament 0-1. But let's see if we can bounce back and make it a better record. Round 2, we're playing against a Typhlosion deck, but first we got a little prize pack Series 8 opening, the new one. So looks like he got a Holo Budew and an Air Balloon, which is really cool. I got a Holo Lillie as well. Yeah, but let's get into the game. We win the coin flip and choose to go second, which usually feels pretty good. He opens with the Secret Box in hand, Pidgey in the active, and yeah, discards a Town Store Ultra Ball and Fez. I was hoping he'd give me an Artisan, but he unfortunately didn't. So little deck search here. Ethan's Adventure and Poffin. I think this should be a decent matchup for us if we can go a little quickly and wipe the board before a Pidgeot gets in play. I think once they get a Pidgeot established, that can definitely be pretty scary. Now into our turn. Our hand is decent but not great. We have an Ultra Ball for a Budew with the Air Balloon in hand with another Ultra Ball for follow-up, so we kind of have the bare minimum here, being able to get a Dreepy and then Ultra Ball for Drakloak on the next turn. Doing a little prize checking here. Don't remember exactly what I prized. But yeah, at least getting into Budew is good enough for me. We're discarding the energy, but we do have that Air Balloon in hand. And we're going to have to discard and go down to 0 cards next turn to establish the Drakloak, but it's almost always worth it and we're able to at least prevent him from getting into Pidgeot for one turn here. I'm expecting the TM Evo from him next turn, and I think he ends up evoing just the 2 Cyndaquils on the bench. I do wonder if he could have used this Ethan's Adventure to Evo into a Pidgeotto. I don't remember exactly what the rest of his hand looks like, but he's going to leave that Pidgey in the active, and it's going to be pretty vulnerable to a Phantom Dive. I think he ends up prizing to Ethan's Quilava as well, which you never want to see. And yeah, so here he realized he prized 2 of the Quilavas, so I do wonder if he could have retreated, grabbed a Fire Energy off of Ethan's Adventure and evoed into a Pidgeotto. I'm curious about that. But regardless, we Ultra Ball the last 2 cards in our hand for that Drakloak. The Boss and the Defiance Band go down, and we do end up Recon Directive into an Iono, which is good to see. And we find 2 Poffins off of there, so we are going to get rolling here, finding 2 more Dreepy. We may have prize 1, I don't remember, but yeah, looking like a pretty good position for us. Again, another turn he's not able to get into Pidgeot, and I think if this deck doesn't get the Pidgeot established, it's going to be pretty tough for us to win, or pretty tough for us to lose. I know he plays a Battle Cage. I think it's only a 1 of those, so yeah, it's looking like a pretty dominant position for us here. And yeah, we're threatening the Dragapult attack on the next turn, which is going to be pretty easy to pull off. So we kind of just snowball from here into a really good position. He evolves into Typhlosion on the bench. He does get the redeemable ticket to be able to get 2 of those Quilavas back. But again, we're going to be able to take out that Pidgey, remove that threat for the rest of the game. He just knocks out my Budew with the Quilavas attack. And we stretch it for the energy back. Again, that's usually a good move because we play pretty light basic energy count, so guaranteeing that before the Lillie feels good, and we're going to have all the card draw in the world here. And yeah, this is looking like a pretty dominant position. Put the Sparkling Crystal on the bench for backup. We end up counter-catching the Typhlosion, knocking out the Pidgey as well. I don't know if knocking out the Quilava was better there. Taking the energy out of play as well, but I just decided to knock out the Typhlosion instead. Not sure was correct though. But yeah, it's going to be pretty hard for us to lose from this position. And yeah, he's even going to struggle to be able to one-hit KO me this turn, and giving me Munkidori damage to work with on top of everything else is just a winning recipe for us. He does establish those 2 extra Quilavas, though, that he got off the redeemable ticket. So at least that board is looking a little stronger there. And he's just going to have to punch me for 250, which I believe we already have the Luminous Energy Ultra Ball to thin some more, grab another Dragapult, and it's looking pretty good. And both the Quilava already have a damage counter, so we can just Adrenaline Brain 30 onto one of them, and then knock out the Typhlosion and the Quilava on the bench. Going to just speed through the rest of the game because it's pretty over from this point, but let's see if we can win the next one and potentially win our money back at locals. Alright, now we're going into round 3. This was a great game. I'm excited to go back over it, but we are up against Dragapult Dusknoir. Should be a pretty even matchup for us. The recent updates I've made to this list with 2 Munkidori and 4 Luminous Energy should give us a really good chance into this matchup. A lot better than it was before. And here we go. We lose the coin flip and go first, but we've got a few Dreepies. We top deck another one, and that's a decent start for us. Love to see that. He's going to bench 2 Dreepies of his own, and we are off to the races. I've played a good amount of Dragapult mirrors in these last few formats, so I'm feeling decently comfortable. And into Dusknoir, decently comfortable. If we can take care of these Duskulls, remove the threat of those, and hopefully get our Munkidoris established, we're going to have a pretty good time. And let's see if we can get a Drakloak up at least one next turn. He's going to Lillie on his first turn as well, so a great turn for him, setting up another Poffin coming out. We can see that Neo Upper Energy at the front of the deck as the A-Spec, so I'm thinking Genesect could be a potential in this matchup. It's done pretty well in this matchup for me in the past, so he's going to get another Dreepy down and going to shuffle up from there. So great setup by him. Let's see what we can do. The Jamming Tower comes down, which could be annoying. We get the Drakloak up and another Drakloak up, so that's good to see here. Get the Luminous established and just Ichipollen right back. I can't remember if the Bravery Charm was in hand, maybe not, but the Jamming Tower is annoying in this matchup to prevent us from charming up our Budew to make it beefier than the opponents. But another Lillie coming out here. I think he whiffs Drakloak off of this Lillie. He was saying he had a Hilda in hand, so he kind of regretted playing the Lillie instead of guaranteeing the Drakloak off of the Hilda. So no Drakloak here. I love to see that. And then the Luminous comes down on that second Dreepy, and we're going to start using Recon Directive. My hand isn't looking too great. There's a Genesect, a couple tools, Nest Ball, Ultra Ball, Hawlucha. Nothing great here. It's going to look like another Ichipollen coming up. Hopefully he can get some Drakloaks established now. We're going to see the Hilda, so that's good for him. Nothing else crazy. We're going to see an energy as well. Thinking about the Neo Upper Energy, but just going to grab another Luminous. I think that's fine. I considered putting my own Genesect down, but at this point, with the way he split up the energy, I'm not super worried about the Neo Upper coming out. And I'd rather just keep these tools around if I need them. The Recon Directive comes in, attached to that Psychic Energy, and Ichipollen right back, knocking out my Budew. So, yeah, I'm not feeling great about my hand right now. Another Recon Directive shows me a Energy, I believe, and then, yeah, a Luminous Energy. Second Recon doesn't find me anything great either. Or we do find the Dragapult, I guess, which is nice to evolve this active Drakloak at least. I have no basic energy or a way or a Town Store to bump this Jamming Tower and find my Crystal. So it's not looking too great. I'm just going to have to attach this second Luminous Energy, put another Dreepy down, and I thought about KOing the Budew, but it's definitely correct not to knock it out. I don't want to give him Fez draw, so I'm just going to pass here. I don't have a Budew of my own to get into. And yeah, definitely don't want to give him Fez draw. And I want to just keep this Budew on board because it's pretty useless and it's more than likely not going to leave play. He could throw it up later in the game, but that's a supporter to just take a Budew out of play. So I'm fairly confident this Budew is going to be available for me to take at some point, evolve into the Dragapult. So Phantom Dive more than likely coming out this turn, and another Lillie, the third of the game, comes out for a 6 cards this time. Let's see what comes out. Another Drakloak. That's good to see. Recon, Countercatcher, Poffin. Nothing super useful right now. And yeah, probably just going to be a Phantom Dive from here. No Hawlucha or anything to take out my Dreepy, which is nice to see. And I think he's going to split up 4 on the Drakloak and 2 on the Dreepy. I'm not sure the exact reasoning behind it. I tend to just go 3 and 3. So both of those Draklooks are in range, but I might be wrong on that. That's just kind of what I do by default. So Ultra Ball, going to thin some cards out of the hand. and let me find another Drakloak. Again, the hand still isn't looking great. I haven't played a supporter this game, so I'm not feeling great from this position, but it's definitely still winnable. We're at least able to establish another cloak, and let's see what we find off this. I can't remember exactly, but I don't remember it being super great. Oh, and then we do the Nest Ball as well. I forgot to do that before I shuffled up. But establishing the Munkidori, great while I'm not under item lock. So I can't remember if we have another Luminous in hand. But a Town Store would be great to both establish the monkey and use Phantom Dive this turn. But it doesn't look like I found anything great. Boss, and I can't see that other card. In the future, I need to angle the cards better to the camera because it's a little tough to see from here. But we don't find a way to use Phantom Dive this turn, but we do get our Munkidori established. And thinking about what to do here, the boss is the only supporter I have access to. So I'm going to take 3 damage off of this bench Drakloak and just put it onto the Duskull. And that's nice at least to take my cloak out of Phantom Dive range, and then I just end up bossing the Duskull, and I just put the 3 damage on it to play around any Munkidori shenanigans from him, and I just take out the Duskull just to get rid of that threat on the board. I put the Charm on the monkey just in case for later in the game, I guess. If I'm able to bump this Jamming Tower, then my Munkidori doesn't die to a Dusclops ping. That's the reasoning there. The Fez comes down, which, I don't mind seeing that on the board for sure. That's going to be a good target later in the game. And yeah, my board's looking a lot better here. That turn feels really weak using a Adrenabrain and just Jet Headbutt on a Duskull, but now having no Skull threat on the board feels pretty good for me, and he's not going to be super safe to just bench another Duskull here. So again, the Lillie comes out, the 4th one of the game for 6, and yeah, looking like a pretty even position here, I would say. Hawlucha comes down, which is going to put that other Drakloak in range of a Phantom Dive, and he's going to be able to take my Dragapult and the Drakloak with no energy out. And so that's a pretty strong turn from him, but I'm also liking the look of his board with that Budew, the Fezandipiti, seeing some pretty juicy targets. But my back's definitely against the wall here, having 1 Drakloak on board, so I'm going to Ultra Ball away that Genesect and the Poffin. I'm fine discarding Genesect here. He's going to be fine getting his energy attachments out no matter what I do. So I'm just going to grab the Dragapult here before I do anything. And then I'm going to Recon. Can't remember what I grabbed there. Looks like an Ultra Ball. Dragapult comes out, and we need to find an energy. I don't think I'm going to play this Ultra Ball before I Lillie, so we're looking for the energy off this Lillie to come back into this game. We have access to the Munkidori as well. So the Lillie comes out for 6. Hopefully we find either a Town Store to find the crystal or one of my basic energies. I'm probably looking to eye up the Fez this turn, just so I can take the easy 2 prizes while before it can get turret up or anything. I do find the fire energy off of the Lillie, which is clutch. And my board isn't much, but it's pretty defensive right now. So I'm just looking at the energy he has on board, what he has access to, and taking a look at the discard. No energy in discard, but so a lot of it is just on the board right now. And we're going to, counter catcher the Fez, and I have 2 damage counters on the Dragapult. Smart play here to leave 1 damage counter on since I plan on knocking out the Fez. So don't just by default Adrenabrain 2 damage counters if you don't have to. so I have that second counter to work with later in the game. And I'm going to put all 6 damage counters on the Dreepy just to ensure I can take an easy KO on a Drakloak later on. That just feels like the best place to put that. I don't know if I can explain the exact reasoning why I did that, but enough Dragapult mirrors have, I guess, taught me that putting 6 on a Dreepy in this situation is pretty strong. And well, so from this position, I need 3 prize cards, and the Dreepy, the Budew, and the Hawlucha are all what I'm eyeing on the next turn. So even if he evolves into Drakloak, then I can still win the game from here with an Adrenabrain and a Hawlucha and a Phantom Dive. So that's kind of what I'm eyeing for on this last turn. He's going to evolve that Dreepy like I expected. Then he's going to gust up the Munkidori, which is expected at this point. And let's see, Recon for counter catcher. And yeah, so again, I win the game with Munkidori and Hawlucha, and I get a top deck of my Luminous Energy, which is pretty huge. So we're going to be able to Ultra Ball for that Munkidori. And we're going to play the Iono this turn, so I think we could have a route to win off this Iono. Yeah, we're going to Iono him to 1, so, and knock out the Drakloak at the same time. So I'm hoping on the Hawlucha on the backside of this Iono, which is just going to give me game instantly. But either way, I think Iono to 1 with my active Dragapult only having 6 damage on it. I think we're in a pretty strong position. He has no draw on board and has to find boss off this Iono to 1, even if we don't, and we just end up finding the Ultra Ball off the Iono. So the Adrenabrain can just go on the Drakloak, the Hawlucha ping can go on the Budew and the Hawlucha, and then I can Phantom Dive to take those 3 prizes. So that was a great game. I'm proud of how we played that one. I don't know if there's anything we could have done better. There we can see a Town Store in the prizes, so that's part of why I wasn't able to bump that jamming tower all game. But yeah, that was a good game, and let's try to go 3-1 in the next. All right, now we are up against Charizard for this last round against Dylan DHiggs86. You may have seen him on the ladder if you've been grinding. Great Charizard player, so let's see what we can do here. Should be a favorable matchup for us, but I think it's closer with the builds that we're playing. Obviously, we're going to choose to go second. Looked like he top decked the Ultra Ball, so at least we're going to have a game here. Ultra Ball for the Charmander likely coming out. Just going to decide what to discard. He's doing a better job of showing the camera what cards he has in hand than I am, so got to work on that for next time. Ultra Ball coming out. Little prize checking going on here. Pokemon to the front, energy to the back. And we see the Charmander line, 2 Pidgeot. Secret Box is the A-Spec that he's playing, which is super strong in these Briar, Dusknoir combo decks. Got to watch out for Mezagoza as well, which, spoiler, he does end up prizing, which is tough for him to find his Pokemon under item lock. But we are going to go off with an Ultra Ball. Discarding a boss in a Hawlucha doesn't feel great, but I think that's what we had to do with the hand we have. Going to do a little prize checking as well and see what we have access to. We don't have much else going on in the hand, but at least an Ultra Ball for a Dreepy and an Itchy Pollen is the bare minimum of what we need. He's telling me to show my cards to the camera. But yeah, I think we have a Drakloak for follow-up, but at least we find the bare minimum on this turn. Now the attachment of the Luminous comes out and an Itchy Pollen. Yeah, the rest of our hand is just Drakloak, Dragapult, and Fez, so the Ultra Ball discards make a little more sense there. He's going to bring out the Klefki, which does shut off my Hawlucha when it's in the active if he wants to TM Evo, so that's one thing to consider in this matchup. The Lillie coming out for fresh 8. Attachment to the Mander. and the Duskull. We see a Pidgey, a Mander, found out this Lillie, so that's good to see. And then he's going to be able to KO my Budew with the Charmeleon. The Charmander's first attack also knocks out Budew, which is something to think about. We're going to Recon here, and we find another Poffin off of that, which is huge to establish another Dreepy and then go right back into Budew. We're also going to put the Fez down. Doesn't feel great putting it down, but I think it's worth it here in this spot for how dead the rest of our hand is. That's going to help us establish way better, and we're going to be able to go back into the Budew and think about what to do next turn. Then we're going to retreat off the Luminous and go back into Budew. Getting rid of the only energy in play isn't great, but again, we play Crystal. I don't think it was prized this game, so it's pretty easy to catch back up on those attachments with this Dragapult build. He's going to get another Pidgey out and then play Lillie, and he's hoping for a strong TM Evo play, I'm sure. Lillie only finds 6, though, which is pretty big. He's going to fix a broken sleeve real quick. And I don't think he found much else off of this Lillie. No other actions, so he's just going to pass it back to me. Not going to joust my Budew to just get me free Munkidori damage to play around with later. We find the second Drakloak Recon coming out here. The Bravery Charm, and I do like the idea of charming up our Budew so it doesn't just become an easy Dusclops target. He can't just Dusclops the Budew and then punch into something else. He's going to have to actually attack through my Budew if he wants to get rid of it. And then we're going to play a Lillie of our own. Our board is looking pretty strong here. Seeing a fresh 8. I'm feeling pretty decent about our position. Find some energies to attach. We have that second Drakloak for follow-up, so board's looking pretty strong here. I guess I didn't take the charm off that last recon, but we see the charm again here. We're going to charm up this Budew and attach the Psychic onto the Pult. I think it's always better to attach the basic energy when you have it with this deck first, because you just play more of the Luminous energy, so attaching the basic right away is usually better. And we're just going to Itchy this Klefki with the Charm Budew in the active. Feels like a pretty good spot to be in. He's going to find the TM Evo off this Arven, see what else he has access to. Obviously, he's not going to be able to get into Pidgeot this turn, which we feel pretty good about. And let's see, he's got Pidgeot in his hand. For the next turn, though, if he decides to Evo into a Pidgeotto, which looks like that's what he's eyeing up, grabs a Super Rod as well off of the Arven, and then chooses to Evo into Dusclops and Pidgeotto. We're going to have a pretty good set of options here, since we have access to that counter catcher, which is really nice. So we're either going to be able to take out both of the birds or the Charmeleon and the Charmander. Having to ditch the Hawlucha early in the game wasn't great. We don't have access to a stretcher at this moment, so we're going to attach the Luminous to the Dragapult, and I'm just going for the safe play and just taking both of the birds out. We're going to play the Iono after this. I'd have to get lucky and find the stretcher off of the Iono to be able to take off both of the Charmeleon and the Charmander, so we're just going to take the guaranteed play and the safe play of taking both the Pidgeotto and the Pidgey out of play, which is still a great place to be in when we're going to be disrupting his hand for the rest of the game. And yeah, we don't find the stretcher anyway, so this was definitely the right play. And Phantom Dive is going to put 5 and then put another damage counter in play, which feels pretty good. And we're going to go up 4 prizes to 5. It's looks like he's got the secret box in hand, so just deciding what to grab here. Having that Mesagoza prize for him was pretty unfortunate. He'd get some pretty good value out of that. But he's going to bench another Charmander and then use the secret box here, eyeing up the counter catcher, Lillie, and I think he's deciding between a couple plays. He had a more safe play of Boss and Ultra Ball off the secret box, but his hand would be pretty depleted after that. So he's going to just try to find the Charizard off of this Lillie. Again, this is where the Mesagoza is really good in this Charizard deck to give you at least a 50% chance of finding the Charizard if you're going to play the Lillie. So, yeah, that's what he's deciding through right now. Then he attaches the Defiance Band to the Mander on the bench, hoping to evolve that one, and then puts down the second Duskull as well, and he's going to counter catcher up my Fez to take the 2 prizes there, and then he's going to Lillie. I also considered putting the Charm on the Fez. I don't know how good that would have been. I guess he would have just Dusclops my Budew, but if you do Charm Fez against Dragapult in this position, they aren't able to just take the 2 prizes off the rip. That's something to think about, I guess, but the Charizard comes out, and so he did find that at least, so we're gonna have a game here, and yeah, just gonna take the 2 prizes here, and let's see, just gonna promote Budew to pivot and see what we have access to here. I'm going to Iono him here. I'm debating whether or not to take a KO on this Duskull. There's 1 damage counter on the Dusclops and 1 on the Klefki. I'm just going to Ultra Ball for this Hoopa just to thin it out of the deck. Since I'm going to Iono, he sees that coming. But immediately I'm thinking I don't really feel great about taking a prize card. I think I'm just going to Iono him to 3 and hope he doesn't have the Candy Dusknoir. Yeah, I think he just wins from this position if he has Candy Dusknoir, because then he can just KO my Budew or one of my Draklokes with Dusknoir, and then Dusclops my Dragapult and knock it out to take 3. Since we're not taking any prizes here, but we're also not giving him Fez draw by taking any prizes, and we set up to win on the next turn pretty easily by just putting a bunch of damage on this Klefki and the Dusclops and the Charmander, I believe. I think we just put 2 on each of those to put some pressure on. So if he pops the Dusclops and we have 3 damage counters on Charmander and Klefki, then we can win with just Hawlucha Phantom Dive on the next turn. And yeah, that's what I'm thinking through right now. I definitely thought about taking the Duskull out, and I'm not 100% sure what the correct play is. We take out the threat of that Duskull, but we then give him Fez draw, and then I think he just wins with Briar, actually, if we just take out the Duskull. So I think giving him Fez draw was definitely not the right move. So he's deciding what to do. Obviously doesn't just have the Candy Dusknoir off the rip. I think he's 1 card short. I think he has the Candy, so doesn't have a way to get Dusknoir out. So just going to Lillie and hope to draw into those 2 pieces, which he has decent odds of doing at this point. The deck is looking pretty thin. But let's see if he gets this. Let's see if we can improve to 3-1. He finds the Candy, the Fez, and the Charizard. So no Candy Dusknoir there. And we are likely going to hold on to win this one at this point. Seeing that he doesn't have that combo, we have many different ways to take 4 prizes on this next turn. So yeah, so we're just talking through some of the lines here, but he's going to just have to punch into my Dragapult, which does just give me game in hand with Munkidori Luminous Energy, because we can take 4 pretty easily with the Charmander and the Klefki on the bench. So he benches, and then I have the Munkidori to win the game. So yeah, that's going to do it for the tournament run. We fought back from 0-1 to 3-1, so some good gameplay there, and I'm happy with how this first tournament ride along went. And if you enjoyed the video, like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.